Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. Thank you so much for swinging back by. Today, I am joined by another one of those California guys, Jason Pritchard. Jason,
Tim,
thanks for being here, man.
great to see you, buddy. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, dude, it's been a blast. Like, because I'm committed to doing these things in person.
Yep.
And it's so hard to. I don't want it to be the Dallas real estate investment show.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah.
I don't want to just keep getting all my buddies to swing in.
Yep.
So when I jumped at the chance to get you guys here, I first met you at Investor Fuel a year and a half ago.
That's right.
I heard you on, I think it was a dispositions panel there. And someone's like, oh, the way Jason's doing his social media is like the best in the group and all. And I was like, okay. So I started following you. I was like, hey, this guy's legit. Like, he's honest, sincere, and real. But we'll get into all that in a minute. If you would just take 60 seconds and tell the audience a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started full-time in real estate in late 2014. Prior to that, I had spent 15 plus years in corporate America and had kind of bought into that dream that we get sold kind of growing up, where you go to school, get good grades, go to college, graduate, get a job, and then work until you're 65. And I found myself in a place in my early 30s where I was just miserable, and I was projecting a lot of that into my relationship with my wife, into my relationship with my kids, and I just realized that I was very unhappy with what I was doing. And it boiled down to, Tim, knowing that I was put here to do more than what I was doing at that time. And for whatever reason, I had always been intrigued by the idea of real estate. That voice in your head that sometimes talks you out of like trying new things had kind of gotten in the way multiple times. And then, when I was 32, 33, I was in this place where my wife and I sat down and talked and said, if we don't do it right now, it's probably never going to happen. And we put a plan together where she had just gotten a new job as a high school counselor, so she had graduated from grad school. So we were like, at that time I was the main breadwinner. I was like, let's just give it a year. We'll figure out how to make things work for a year. And if it doesn't, I can always go back and get my day job. And so I burned all the boats and just went all in, man. And, fast forward almost 10 years later, we have flipped and wholesaled like close to 400 houses. We own a rental portfolio in Central California of just over 100 units. It's been a wild ride. Real estate has absolutely changed the trajectory of my life. And I love doing things like this because it can share with the audience the things that have worked for me. And that's it for me. So transferring these things that have worked and trying to change other people's lives.
And you're married to a Jennifer as well, right?
Jen Pritchard, yeah.
And kids?
Yeah, we have two boys, 22 and 20.
So I've got a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't have the 20.
Yeah.
But I've got a 13. So
I'm 42. Jen and I are both 42. So a lot of our friends have kids like in your age range, right? And we're empty nesters. Both of our boys are out of the house. And so if you watch our Instagram, we like to travel a lot and we go to all these different cool places. And that's the way that, we invest in our relationship and our marriage.
Jason, 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years. That's all I got.
Yeah.
4 years and I'm set free.
There you go.
And it is, I've told everyone, that's the reason. When I joined RCN, I told Jeff, I was like, look, man, we got 5 years.
Yeah.
Because that was a year and a half ago. And 2028, my kid graduates high school.
Yep.
I've already told the kids, get your Find My iPhone out.
Yep.
Because that's the only way you're going to know where me and mom are.
That's right. Yeah.
I can run this business from anywhere.
That's right, man. Yeah.
All right. First segment every week is called The Bottom Line Up Front. I just like, when I was in the Marine Corps, brief generals, They always said, give the bottom line up front. Don't bury the lead. You never know when general has to get up. Well, same thing. I start a lot of podcasts. I don't finish a lot of podcasts, right? That phone rings, you stop and get gas, whatever.
Sure.
It happens, right? So I want you to take up to 2 minutes, talk to the audience, tell them the most important things that you see in today's market, maybe things you think people should be focused on, maybe you think things people should be avoiding, just kind of like a cliff notes of what we're going to talk about for the next half hour.
Absolutely.
Good to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, go.
So for me, the bottom line up front would be this, guys. I think the thing that has given me the most success in this business is that I learned early on that the person that controls the deal flow has all the leverage in this business. And I was very fortunate coming from my corporate job that I had a sales and a sales management background, and that's been very helpful for me because in real estate on the front end, it is very sales based. And so if you're struggling in this business right now, what I would tell you is you need to learn how to identify properties that you can buy below market value, fix them up and either sell them for a profit or cherry pick the best ones to keep as a rental. Start there because everything else will be easy to find if you learn how to find good deals up front. The money will find you, the contractors will find you, all the resources and the things that you need will do that. Even in this market right now, it's even more important because deals are that much harder to find. So if you can sharpen that skill set right now, I think that will be the thing that helps you find longevity and success in this business.
So you're from California.
Yep.
And that's a market that is heavily, I'd say, stereotyped as every house is $2 million and you're going to flip it and make $1 million profit. And it's just, you can pay 80, 85 cents on the dollar. It doesn't matter. But that's not the world you live in Fresno. Right?
No, it's not the world. I think when you say California, I think most people jump to LA or the Bay Area. And where we're located, Fresno is literally smack dab in the middle. And there is, in an hour or two in any direction, there are, from California standards, some very, very affordable houses. So like the median price point in our market is right around $375. And we have always, our bread and butter deals have always been stuff that we buy for $200,000. We put 50, 60 grand into it, and then we sell it for $350 to $375. They are easy to flip. They're easy to wholesale. They're easy to rent. And, that's how we built our businesses, right there in that sweet spot. And there's a lot of dynamics that are happening in the market right now with remote work and, all these different things that are allowing people to come. If you want to stay in California, right, you can come to Fresno and you can trade your house in LA that you sell for $1.5 million and buy multiple houses in Fresno. If you want, you can buy a few of them, you know what I mean? For the same value. So yeah, I think I'm overall very bullish about our market. I think there's some things that are happening there that insulate us from what's happening in some of the other parts of the state.
I was telling my wife about Fresno because I'd never been before I came to you guys' event last year. And I was at the airport and they had like all the national park stuff and all that. And I was just like, really? Because there's 3 national parks within an hour of downtown Fresno.
Yep.
You can go from kind of, it's not the plains, but it's not a super high elevation to like up in the mountains pretty quickly.
About 30 or 45 minutes. So what's really cool about Fresno is its proximity to everything else that you want to do in the state. So I always say you can be from Fresno, you can be in the snow in 45 minutes, or you can be at the beach in an hour and a half, depending on where you're going. And it's 3 hours to LA, it's 2.5 hours to the Bay Area. We're 5 hours from Vegas. So like you can drive and get to everywhere pretty quickly.
And you can actually drive.
You could drive to all of that's it, man.
There's no traffic.
There's no traffic. There's no nothing. Yeah. So it's like you have that small town kind of feel, which is nice because getting to LA or the Bay Area, I can go there for a weekend trip or something like that, but I would never want to live in a big city like that. So, yeah.
And I bring that up because so often in this industry, people paint the market with this broad brush. It's, with Texas this or California that.
Correct.
You add those two up, and they're bigger than most countries times 2.
Yeah.
And you can't characterize Texas by Dallas standards any more than you can characterize Texas by El Paso standards.
Yeah,
right.
That's
so
right.
I think it's important, number one, that listeners hear that just because Jason's a California investor doesn't mean that he's a California investor.
Yeah, that's right.
But then also, you said in your bluff, you said basically a good deal will find money.
Yep.
Right. And I've always believed that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you can get a good deal, the money's going to be there.
It's been proven to me over and over. And I'm not a person that came from means. When I got into the real estate business, I had 0 relationships. I had 0 prior experience, knowledge, background, anything like that. And I'm a testament to exactly what you just said. I got great at finding deals and the money found me. Now I had to go out and ask for it. I had to, put myself out there.
Let it knock on your door.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, there's work involved with any of this stuff. But I think once you get a track record as a proven operator in your market, it becomes easier and easier because every, every private lender that we work with now always brings a friend or a family member, and that just grows and compounds and snowballs. And now I have more people that want to give me money than we have viable deals for, frankly. So yeah, it's worked.
There's never a better feeling than having more money than you have deals.
That's right.
But the key is that you don't compromise the deals you're attacking just because you have that money.
Correct. Yeah. And I've always been ultra conservative with the way that we've run our numbers. And so, you get smacked around on some deals here and there when you try to push the envelope a little bit, but our baseline stuff, we've never gotten away from that. We've always bought really, really deep. And I built that habit at the beginning to offset my lack of experience. And I was just like, I honestly, this is how I would run numbers on deals at the beginning, Tim. I would take whatever Zillow said the house was worth, and my offer would never be more than 50% of what Zillow did. And that was it. I mean, literally, it sounds ridiculous when I say that, even right now, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And I said, well, if I can get this for at least half at the start, because I didn't understand how to estimate rehab costs or estimate ARVs really that well. I didn't know any of those things. So I just started there, and I figured it out as I went. So that always mitigated a lot of my risk, is just by finding good deals.
But Jason, where did you learn to find the deals? I mean, surely you weren't just looking up Zillow and then knocking on the door and say, I'll give you half of what your house is worth.
No. So at the beginning, I did the stuff that I think a lot of people do. You do YouTube University, you go to Bigger Pockets, like all the big platforms where this information on how to get started to invest is readily available. And so you can take that and just kind of figure it out on your own. And I didn't have money to invest in coaching or programs or these different things. So I really just had to, figure it out as I went. And it took me about a year to find my first deal. And that was not easy, because my wife would look down at her watch and say, it's been 9 months and no money is coming in. And, we had some difficult conversations at the end, man. And that's not an easy thing for me as a man, where I value providing for my family, right? Having to have those types of talks. So for me, it was just learning as I went. Then I started being very intentional about who I networked with and building out kind of a community and a network of other like-minded people and people that can maybe show me the ropes in my backyard. And then we've just really slowly and expanded it from there, man. So the information, and I'm a big believer of this, Tim, is all readily available. But if you want to get there faster, you need a network, you need a coach, you need a mentor to kind of speed that whole process up for me. And that's what I figured out as I got into it and started getting some traction.
I'm actually going to take a break before I normally do, because I want to dive straight into that husband-wife dynamic while you're getting started, and some things related to that. So stick around. We'll be right back. At RCN Capital, we know that time is money. With our competitive rates and quick turnaround time, you can receive funding in as little as 10 days. We offer flexible payment plans to relieve the pressure of repayment process. Our team is experienced in making sure that you choose a loan that will suit you best. Get on the phone with the loan officer today by emailing info@rcncapital.com or clicking the link in our bio. Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. I'm Tim Harridge. I'm still here with Jason Pritchard. Jason, I want to dive straight in to something you just said. And you said you had to have those talks with your wife.
Yep.
It's been 9 months without money. Number one, I don't even know if you know this, but that puts you in a class all of your own already, because a lot of, I don't want to say men, a lot of entrepreneurs just won't have those tough talks with the people that are counting on them.
Yep.
They everything's siloed. It's, I'm the only one that understands this. What tips do you have? Interest rates are what they are.
Yep.
I thought they'd go down this year. It looks like they could hit 8%.
Yep.
What are some tips you have for the audience? Maybe there's someone out there struggling. Maybe their business isn't producing what they want it to.
Yep.
And they're married. They have kids. They have responsibilities. What advice do you have for someone in that situation?
There's a couple different things that I would say. If you are stagnant right now in your journey when you're starting, I'm a big believer in this. If you just can't, you're stuck in a rut and you can't find any momentum, you need to find other people that you can help. And whether that's working with other people, working for other people, joint venturing with somebody and figuring out what am I really good at, and partnering up with somebody that supplements your skill set. Because you have to be good, I think, at interpersonal communication, sales, negotiations on the front end to find deals. I was already naturally good at that because I had been on commission-based sales, all business-to-business stuff for 15 years before I ever got into real estate. So once I understood the language of how to do a deal and I got past that initial kind of uncomfortableness that you feel when you're doing something new, I was like, this is just like riding a bike, dude. All I got to do is make calls and make money. I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years, so that was easy. And a lot of people struggle with that part. Right. And maybe if you're more analytical or you're more operations or administrative oriented, maybe you need to go partner up with somebody that has those sales chops, that doesn't know how to keep the books, that doesn't know how to keep timelines for their projects and things like that. And maybe you just get some momentum by working together, because half of something is better than zero of nothing on your own. So I think you need to figure out how to help other people and don't just think that, you got to do everything on your own. You know what I mean? I think that would be what I would suggest starting.
And also, I won't get in depth on your story, but in November, you gave a really compelling talk at your event.
Yep.
And I've seen some people be vulnerable on a stage, but maybe not anyone as vulnerable as you made yourself in front of 600 of your guests.
Yeah.
It wasn't some strange audience. Like these people, like they came to see Jason and they left like, oh my God, we just saw Jason naked.
Yeah.
Talk about your philosophy with handling adversity and maybe some hindsight that you've picked up in the last, 20 years of being an adult.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like the adversity and the challenges that I faced leading into my start of my real estate journey, if I could go back and wave a magic wand right now and change all of that stuff, I wouldn't change a thing, because I'm 100%, I believe now that I would not be where I'm at right now without having had to face that adversity, overcome those challenges. And it allows me to navigate this business that we're in right now in a way that I think a lot of times people don't know, because I've already been on rock bottom. So for me, you know what I'm saying? I hit rock bottom in 2012, got dragged along the bottom for 2 years straight, and then finally picked my ass up and just went back to work, dude. And so for me, the hard part's already done.
Right.
Rising interest rates, I'll figure it out, dude. You know what I mean? I've already had nothing and I came back from that. So for me, I have this frame of reference that is just different than most people that have not had to have similar types of struggles. And I don't, I don't think you have to go through that. But for me, I think I did, because I was so complacent leading up to that it would have been hard for me to overcome the challenges that I faced when I first started real estate, that 9 or 10 months of failure, not making any money. I think it would have been too easy for me to go back to corporate America, because I was just too comfortable. And so I needed to be in this kind of jarring experience and do that in order to be where I'm at. So don't run from adversity. If your guys are dealing with something hard, don't run from it. I've learned lean into it, figure out how to solve it, and you'll always be better on the other side.
I hate to use cliches, but I do believe the entire attitude of gratitude thing has been a big part. It's almost what you were just describing, but it's also been a big part of my journey. I mean, when I worked with Blackstone, I'll never forget this chief operating officer. We're at this big board table, and we're doing hundreds of millions of dollars worth of transactions. Some of them are $100 million transactions.
Yeah,
and it would get stressful. And finally, one day, our chief operating officer, Catherine Briggs, she just kind of looks up. She goes, "We're not saving lives here." And having been in the Marine Corps and having been involved in situations where we were saving lives, I just remember I kind of leaned back. I'm like, she's right.
Yeah, that's true. It is.
There's no one shooting at us.
Yeah.
My buddy's not bleeding out.
Yeah.
There's no landmines I'm worried about stepping on. Ultimately, nobody's going to lock me up. Business, sometimes I think we take it so serious.
Yeah, I agree.
It feels life-threatening.
Yeah, I agree.
And then that makes us, in my past, it's made me be dishonest with my wife sometimes to protect her from maybe the fear I was feeling. It's made me make rash decisions and maybe sell a house and get, a lot less for it. I think just hearing you talk about that, I think the key is kind of take a deep breath no matter what you're going through and just realize that it could be a lot worse.
I think the thing that I always say to myself, Tim, if I'm even now, I'll go back and sometimes overcomplicate these situations that I'm in now. And I will always tell myself that there is lots of people out there that would trade problems with me in 1 second. I mean, we're not dealing with cancer. We're not dealing with some crazy health issue. We're not dealing with these things, these life-threatening things that, it's business at the end of the day, right? And the experience that I've had has just been so helpful for me to kind of stay grounded and realize I get to do this. I don't have to do this, right? And, it is a lot of it is just your mental approach to this thing. And that's what's given me we're, going on 10 years now. So, I think for me, it's given me the longevity that we've had.
What, other than perspective, I guess, other than, I don't really believe in wisdom, but with age comes wisdom, of course. With the experience comes wisdom. What skill have you developed that has been the most beneficial to driving your business growth?
So I'll say a couple things that have been that jump into my head right now. So the first thing I think is that I have really good interpersonal communication skills, and I can communicate with people on every end of the spectrum, and I can connect with people that are really struggling, right? And that's a lot of times some of the sellers that we're working with, right? They have real serious life issues that are going on, and they need to unlock the value in their house in order to solve that. So I can sit down and connect very well with them. I can then leave that meeting and go talk to somebody about raising millions of dollars, right, to fund some of these projects that we're doing. I can go to a job site and talk to a contractor, and everybody there on that spectrum, I can connect with them in an honest and authentic and a genuine way. And I think that for me is what's helped a lot on the business side of things. I've also really learned how to delay gratification. And that was the best decision that I made, was financial decision, I guess, is buying the rental properties that we did. And so we ran our business essentially at break even, and we plowed everything else into rentals. And that has given me the peace of mind that we have now as we go through this changing market, to not have to sweat as much as people that I know that sold off everything and now don't have, assets with equity that pay them on a consistent basis. And so I'd say those two things for me have been the most helpful.
I'm pretty good at math, and 100 units in a median home price of $375 equals a good decision.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it wasn't easy at the beginning, because I prided myself on always getting good deals. And at the beginning, when we did not have a lot of cash available, making the decision to forego a $20,000 or $30,000 assignment fee or 50 or 60 grand on a flip to buy, rent, rehab, burr it out, and then just keep it, and not access any of that money for a couple $100 a month in cash flow that could go away if something crazy happens. You know what I mean? That wasn't an easy thing to do at the time. But looking back from a financial standpoint, like I said, it's the best decision that we made.
And you said what we made. What, if you could maybe take yourself back to that decision, what drove it, what advised it, and how did you decide it?
I think one of the big things that drove it was some of the adversity that I came over. I was like, we need to have some type of insurance policy or a safety net for, God forbid, I get struck by lightning or die in a car accident or something, right? There needs to be something there where my family can fall back on if I'm not here for some reason. So I think that was the big driving factor for me. I think we did a very good job of just living very below our means and living a very simple lifestyle for a very long time. And there were points where we were making lots of money and it was just nothing changed about us, right? We were just very disciplined about plowing some of that money into these investments. And now we're at a space where the business has grown and matured, where we can level up our lifestyle a little bit, enjoy some of the fruits of our labor, because I also think that's important too. And I think I've learned that too. I think sometimes, just staying in that one space and, never going out, never just eating ramen every day or whatever, you know what I mean? I don't think that that's good for you either, right? And so we found a nice balance right now that works really well for us.
So it sounds like a balance between scarcity and abundance.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't want to get overabundant to where you're being, I'd say, frivolous.
Yeah, and reckless. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But
and that's easy to do too. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me about it. Well, I mean, that was me before the Great Recession, right? The first 10 years of my career, I was untouchable.
Yeah.
I mean,
you think it's never going to stop? Ride's never going to stop?
29 years old, flipping 150 houses a year and making millions of dollars a year, and had already bought the $1 million house.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just thought I was untouchable.
Yeah.
And then, the good Lord reached out and touched me.
And it's interesting, dude. Like for me, I've always reminded myself from when I started 2014 to, up to last year, and even now, the market that we're dealing with now, the market has always had an upward trajectory for me. And so I've always been kind of cautious of when is this music going to stop? And I'd always have this thought in the back of my mind that I'm not going to be the one left without a chair when the music does stop. And so that drove a lot of the decisions that we made. And as far as how we run and operate our business, we're very, very lean compared to other people that are doing the volume that I am. And so we've always I've always been cautious of that because of, some of the things that we had to overcome to get here. So for me, I've always looked through it through that lens.
So you own 100 properties. You are active in Investor Fuel Mastermind.
Yep.
You are partners with Dean and Stratton in Deal Champs.
Yep.
What does your investment business look like today? And then I want you to kind of go into, where do you spend your time?
Yeah, sure. So the bulk of my time is in our core business, which is, I look at it as a transactional side and an investment side. So the transactional side for us is the flipping, the wholesaling, some of the brokerage activity that we do. all the things that we transact a deal once, we generate a chunk of money, and then we take that and invest that into assets that pay us consistently and predictably over time. So we have both of those things. We self-manage all of our properties minus the 5 that we own out of state. So my team handles all of that internally. So there's a big component of that I've delegated out to the team. I focus more on the transactional side because that's really what I'm good at, finding the deals and learning now how to transfer the skills that I've had into my team members. Because it's one thing for me to be really good, but I've realized and I've learned over time that in order to go to the next level and keep ascending, it can't just be me. I've got to take what I'm good at, transfer it to somebody else, get that to stick. And so that's what we're doing now, just building out the team, doing that stuff. And then what we do with Dean and Stratton has been really cool too, because when I first started in 2014-15, there was no investor community. The top investors that are doing nobody was sitting down with me saying, yeah, come and let me just show you like our entire playbook. You know what I mean? And so that was just not a thing. It didn't exist. And we played a very big part in shifting kind of the narrative that's there and pulling back the curtain and just saying like, guys, because I always took this approach, Tim. I said, if I could go on YouTube and Bigger Pockets and I could learn this business just from the stuff that I found, is anything really a secret? I don't know how proprietary this information can be if I could just listen to it on a podcast and apply it. So I've always thought if I can help other people find the success that I've had, some way, shape, or form, that momentum will come back around for me. And I never did it because I expected deals or anything. I was just like, yeah, dude, like here's what's worked for me. And it's grown and evolved into what we're doing now with the meetups and the events and that type of stuff.
It's kind of funny. So I've been going to these masterminds for about 19, 20 months now. Right at 20 months. And I have received the biggest giver award, I think 4 times at Investor Fuel, 2 or 3 times at Boardroom. And it's funny, people come up to me afterwards, they're like, man, you're pouring into everybody. It's great. I'm like, but I'm not. I'm listening, number one. I'm a very active listener. And I learn more than I share. And I feel obligated that if there's something I can add from my experience, most of the time from my mistakes, right? Because 20-something years, tens of thousands of loans,
a lot of
transactions.
Mistakes.
It's like, just listen, I've messed up more than I've been right. And it's just my rights have been big enough to upset. So, but I'm with you because when I share, it's not like I'm some sort of deity or, divine wisdom. It's like, oh yeah, you should do this and ask me how I know, like at the bar later. But you're right, because when you're adding value and you're being selfless, I find that I learn. I mean, when I help others learn, I may remind myself of something I should do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like a lot of times I'll be like, Jason, look, man, all you got to do is like move the coffee cup over there. And I'm like, I haven't moved my coffee cup. And I'll text my wife while I'm in Investor, like, we need to do this. We need that.
No, it's true. And I think it's just that synergy that's been so amazing to me. When I first started in the business, I did all the networking, I will call it organically, where you go, you meet people, you go to coffee, you build and nurture those relationships over time. And then you see that, okay, there's 4 or 5 of us that are like-minded. Let's be the connector that brings that group together, right? And it started there. And I think I actually stunted my growth because it took me longer than it probably should have to see that it made sense to join things like Fuel or Family or Boardroom, because you get to a certain point where you can do it on your own, but once you want to get to the next level, sometimes it's just easier to pay for access to all of those people that are over there, right? You know what I mean? And so I think looking back, I think the organic networking really helped me at the beginning, and I was too slow to invest in stuff like that where I could get around higher level people. And I hired a coach out of Investor Fuel that really helped change my business when it was shifting when I first started 3 years ago, and which has been really helpful for me. So all of that stuff, the masterminds and these types of things that you're talking about have been super positive in my life. Great experiences, We're
going to take a quick break, come back, do the Money Minute, rapid fire, then get you on your call.
Let's go.
Stick around. We'll be right back.
REI Inc. is a monthly business publication for real estate investors, covering all types of real estate investments and strategies. It is the most comprehensive real estate investment publication on the market. All of the articles are written by the top leaders in the industry, so investors are assured of always getting the best information possible. Each month, REI Inc. also profiles the top companies in the industry and provides insights and data into key regional markets. Along with their sister platforms, the REI Referral Network and Highest Invest, real estate investors have exclusive access to off-market investment opportunities and national acquisition and disposition initiatives. To learn more, visit www.rei-inc.com, where you can also access the REI Referral Network. Also, be sure and visit www.highest-and-vest.com to view the latest exclusive off-market assets with near immediate acceptance decisions and closing strategies. You can also email marketing@rei-referralnetwork.com to request more information.
Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. I'm Tim Harridge. We're going to run out of time soon. So, Jason, the next part of the show is the Money Minute.
Okay.
This is my favorite part of the show.
All right.
It's 60 seconds. I want you to pretend there's an entrepreneur out there. It doesn't have to be an investor. Could just be a business owner, someone that's listening. Here we are 30 minutes in, so they're interested in you.
That's right.
60 seconds. Imagine they get no advice for the next 30 days. This is all they're going to hear. The only piece of advice they're going to get for the next 30 days.
Okay.
It's got to be the best you got.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
So if you're out there and you're struggling right now, here is the advice that I would give you. I would say, don't be so hard on yourself. I feel like I have struggled a lot with comparing myself to what other people are doing in social media, and all these things in this business make it very easy to play that comparison game. And sometimes I look at what other people are doing and I think that, man, I wish I could be doing this, or I wish I could be doing that. You guys at home need to be in a race with yourself. And what has helped me is realizing that if I can just get a little bit better every single day and run my own race versus worrying about what Dean is doing or Stratton is doing or what other people are doing in my market, it's just allowed me to get further faster. I'm in a better space mentally. Every other area of my life has improved because of that. So if you're struggling with that, guys, I would suggest run your own race. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing, and just be a little bit better every single day.
So I love that advice. And last year I was speaking at the Scale and Escape conference in Florida, and I saw Ed Milet was going to be speaking.
Yep.
And I knew I would have access to the green room.
Yep.
I knew I would meet him. And he had just dropped that new book, The Power of One More.
Yep.
And I hadn't read it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped my son off at college, and I knew I had a 3-hour drive. The book said it was 6 hours. No, it was a 3.5-hour drive. Book said it was like 5 hours. I figured out I had to listen to it at 1.5 speed.
Just to get through it, yeah.
To get through it. And I knew that I was flying out the next morning.
Yeah.
So I drive down. I listened to the entire thing. I loved it. I end up meeting him the next day, and I'm like, I actually knew I'd meet you, and I didn't want to be disingenuous and say, oh, I love your book when I hadn't read it.
Yeah.
So I actually did the audio book yesterday. He like stops and looks at me, and he goes, how was it? And I'm like, I'm trying to go to your point, because we may think on social media,
Yeah.
or the guy on the stage,
Yeah, you look at a guy like Ed Milet, right? And
he
you're
doesn't
like,
care how it was. He knows how it was.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But he looked at me and he goes, how was it? I was like,
Yeah.
that was great. He goes, oh, thank God. He goes, we were in the studio for 5 days. It was like 3 or 5 days, and we were recording like 6 hours a day. And at the end, my voice was hoarse, and
Yeah.
I was just worried it didn't turn out well. And I go, oh, I mean, it was great. I said, and I listened to it at 1.5 speed anyway. He goes, oh, so I sound like a damn chipmunk?
Yeah.
But like, it was one of those, I like to tell that story because, like, if you look at the outer part of Ed Milet, I mean, he's Ed frickin' Milet, the
Yep.
best speaker in the world.
Yep.
But he was genuinely, like, he wanted to know, how did
Yeah.
it sound?
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're saying. Like,
Yeah,
just run
even
your-
on the flip side of on that, when you look at a guy like Ed Milet, it's easy for me to think like, geez, like, I mean, this guy's, 10 years older than me. And it's like, there's no way that I could ever keep up. But even him at that space has some of these kind of thoughts and limiting beliefs that we're talking about now, man. And so, yeah, I think it's just running your own race is important, man. Getting out of your own head, running your own race. You're not competing against anybody. Real estate in general is such a competitive business where you're constantly sizing yourself up against other people, and it's very numbers driven. How much money did they make? How much did this person sell? And the sooner that I learn to not start buying into that stuff and just figuring out this is about just me being better, my overall quality of life improved, my business improved, right? And I'm a big believer in that. And just, it's great if you're making a ton of money, but if your health sucks and your marriage sucks and your relationship with your kids and all these things are not meeting that same standard, then what's really the point, man? And so I think learning how to take that approach has helped me become better and more well-rounded in all those other areas.
So before we run out of time, I just wanted to, you talked about you and Jen like to travel.
Yeah.
Where all do you go, and how does the business work when you travel?
It's been pretty amazing. The last 3 years, we have been to Paris, Italy, Maldives, Bali, the Philippines, Mexico probably 10 times. We like to take a trip about once a quarter. So in 2016, even before we didn't have any money and we had nothing, we were just figuring out ways, leveraging credit card points, doing things to just take little vacations. And that was when we were the happiest. And so in 2016, we sat down and said, we want to make sure if I'm going to work like the crazy hours and sometimes the time that you've got to put in, right, in these sprints of your, those seasons that you're in where you're sprinting in your business, right? Let's just take some time off and make sure that we make that a regular thing. And, for us, it's been really great because we leverage so many points through our business and through all the spend and all this stuff that we do that we just rack all this stuff up, and we figured out ways how to use that to, pour back into our marriage. And we've been to some amazing places. We have a whole bucket list of all these cool places that we still want to go to. And travel's been a thing for us that is definitely an investment in our marriage for sure.
Jennifer and I talk all the time. We love to travel, and we recently found Mexico City.
Yeah.
It's a 2-hour and 8-minute flight from Dallas.
Yeah, super.
I mean, and people don't understand this. Like, if you're listening, it's the same elevation as Vail.
Yep.
So when we went in June for our anniversary, the high was 78.
Yep.
It was like 100 here.
Yep.
And last week I had to go down to Austin to speak, and it was a Friday. No big kid events or anything. I was like, tell you what, I'm going to fly down there. She loves to drive to Austin and San Antonio. I was like, you just drive down on Friday. You'll go to the dinner with me and my friend. You know how we do dinner.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Like,
that's right. Good. You guys have a good time.
It's not a cheap dinner. No. And I was like, we'll have fun. And so it's funny you say that, because she came back. She goes, I was thinking we should actually just start taking a trip every month. She goes, and one of them can be one of our party trips, because
same
like the party.
You do too. Yeah.
And she goes, but then let's make it where every other one's like a hiking trip or something.
Yep.
I was like,
our wives sound very similar, and we do the same thing, man. And I think because our business is virtual, it allows us to, I'm not on my laptop when we're in the Maldives, like checking in on everything, but if I need to do something, I can do it. And you know what I mean? And so it's one of the cool things with technology and how far things have advanced, that you can really, run and manage things from pretty much anywhere in the world, as long as you've got an internet connection, your phone or your laptop. And so that's kind of how we do it, man.
I think the key is, though, what I'm hearing from you is you're very intentional.
With everything in my life.
Like we're going to do this, so I'm setting it up.
That's right. For me, everything starts with clarity. If you don't have clarity of what it is that you're trying to do, anywhere where you end up on the map is going to be fine. And so you have to be very clear about, here's our goals, right? And the reason why we are able to travel is because in 2016, we said once a quarter, we're going to go somewhere. And we've stuck with that, and we've done that, and we've been very intentional about that. And I'm intentional with everything else in my life and my business, with my health, and doing that and having that structure has always been a big help for me.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So we're going to run out of time soon. This is where I ask everyone, be gentle. Do you have any parting thoughts or parting shots?
Nothing, man. I feel like for me, the thing, guys, besides the advice that we've talked about today, is you need to connect with other high-level people. Like, I really value the relationship that we have with Tim. I learned a ton from just being around you, and just being in close proximity to you and other entrepreneurs and business people like you are the things that have really changed the entire trajectory of my life. So invest in those relationships too, guys, because they're big ones.
Absolutely. Well, man, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me, man.
I know it's hard to come out for a non-revenue generating.
It's okay, man. Yeah, this is good. I love it.
I had fun at dinner last night.
I appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So that's it. We are out of time. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget, click below, like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Let us know what you think, and it helps us if you would share the episode as well. So that's it for today. Remember, your network is your net worth, and today you've been growing both. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Uncontested Investing. Questions about today's episode or the podcast? Email podcast@rcncapital.com, and make sure to follow REI Inc. magazine on LinkedIn and Facebook, and RCN Capital on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. See you all next time.